Hey everybody, what's going on? Time for another Twin Peaks episode review. Number 19 in Season 2. And we've got 3 more to go after this. Getting down to do or die hour. But yeah, it's a pretty good episode, some good reveals, so let's get down to it. This is an episode titled Variations on Relations. Make of that what you will. Now, the crew returned to Owl Cave after assuming they had a well-earned break overnight. Andy obviously describes the obvious, because that's Andy. Dale realizes someone has been here, as we see another cave drawing has been revealed, presumably by Wyndham Earle's moving of that object, aligning the owl symbol with the one on the wall. Hawk's tracker skills prove useful in noticing that Wyndham Earle's tracks, the same ones he saw at the power station, are in the dirt, so we know that he's been here. Dale hasn't made the connection with Earle in the cave just yet. Andy is going to do a full-scale drawing of the petroglyph for further use. It's an interesting design. There's nothing really obvious about it that I can tell, other than we see a tall person next to a short person, and which could possibly mean the giant and the midget in the red suit, possibly. Alright, so now we're back with Wyndham Earle describing the White and Black Lodge. He obviously hates what the White Lodge represents and admires what the Black Lodge represents. And apparently another drifter has been befriended by Wyndham. And you may recognize this actor. He's actually been a character actor in a lot of stuff, especially during the 90s. I'm assuming into the 2000s. I know he was in those Hercules and Xena B-action shows that were on TV for quite a while as a reoccurring character. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but some of you that are old enough would probably recognize him. Wyndham describes the Black Lodge as a place of almost unimaginable power. So I assume that he knows more about this particular lodge than Dale and his crew. He describes the spirits of the place being able to offer up a power that would allow the individual who was able to harness that power to reorder the earth to his liking. So it's pretty powerful. And Wyndham intends to find the Black Lodge, most likely because he wants to harness this power for himself. Not a good scenario if he manages to succeed. So it's not too surprising that this is his end game, other than getting rid of Dale. But now he's stated it out in the open, so there are no more questions around why he is in Twin Peaks. It may be a purpose that he's devoted his entire life to, or at least his life since becoming part of Project Blue Book. So yeah, it isn't something he just happened upon. He's been after that Black Lodge for a long time. Maybe the crime committed in Pittsburgh or whatnot, where his wife was the witness to the crime, as Dale thinks, maybe had something to do with his pursuit. I don't know if we're given that information or not, so we'll have to wait and see. The Drifter doesn't quite comprehend the implications of the lodges. He just wants beer, because that's what he was promised. We see an image of that petroglyph design that Andy was going to take down on a screen Wyndham has. I'm assuming that he had a copy of this image before arriving at Twin Peaks. Though it's possible that he himself did write it down, but he's got what seems to be kind of an older computer monitor, so I don't know how he would be able to actually transfer that or draw that, given the technology of the time. I'm assuming it's something he's already had on file, perhaps from Project Blue Book. All right, Pete laments Josie's death while playing chess, trying to wax poetical and doing not the best job. Catherine brings in the black box that Jones, I think, was the one that the femme fatale assistant of Thomas Eckhart said her name was. It's time to figure out how to open it. Bobby at the Double R tells Shelley she should sign up for Miss Twin Peaks. Yeah, in my alternate universe, just to let you know, the Miss Twin Peaks contest would actually take place in sunny California, and the title would be a sexual pun hinting at what the contest was all about. But that's a story for another time. The mayor talks with Little Ginger Riding Hood, who wants him to rig the contest for her. Surprise, surprise. Dale shows up and invites Annie for a nature excursion. Shelley mentions a line from the poem that Windham sent the three girls and catches Dale's attention, fills him in on the details, and Dale realizes that something is amiss. And if you did notice the sign, it says Hearty Beaver Broth. Yeah, did I mention an alternate universe that takes place in sunny California? Yeah, alright. Hearty Beaver Broth. Yeah, okay. Dale tells Harry that the poem that was sent to the three girls is a poem he recited to Caroline, so that's obviously why he chose that one. Wyndham Earle choosing it, that is. And Dale assumes that Wyndham has made actual physical, well, being in person contact with each girl. Hawk brings in Donna's part of the poem, which matches up to the other piece, and Dale thinks Leo is the one who wrote it. So we're going to figure out if that's the case. We already know that it's the truth, but they don't. Alright, and Major Briggs has shown up. He's correcting Andy on part of the recreation of the petroglyph that he's writing on the blackboard, which means that he saw it at some point, and perhaps Andy's drawing is triggering some latent memories from his disappearance. Dale basically says, Major, we need your help. He believes that even though Leo's disappearance, Earl's appearance, and the discovery at Owl Cave seem to be separate events, he believes they are all, in fact, linked. Complementary verses of the same song, but which is how Dale describes it. And basically Dale needs the hidden information on Wyndham's Project Blue Book work, or they're kind of stuck. The Major asks if it will prevent future loss of life, and Dale says most certainly will prevent future loss of life. The Major believes that he either dreamed of the cave image or saw it somewhere, and then we get a kind of a cool image all out of the blue. We see the silhouette of the robed figure, which we saw during the flash of light in the woods before Major Briggs vanished, superimposed over the cave image, and then we are kind of zoom in, and the blackness within the silhouette begins to reveal stars, kind of from the night sky, and an owl flies into view. So yeah, it's a really cool image. Lots of symbolism there, so well done. And I assume this is a memory, since they go back to Major Briggs's, shot of him, and his face. I assume this is a memory of his that he's recollecting, and that's probably just a visual interpretation of the memory for us to see. Dale matches the handwriting of the poem with Leo's arrest records, so yep, we know who wrote it. So Leo and Wyndham Earle are working together in some capacity, and everyone that's not part of that duo always assumes that Leo is still the same evil bastard. So maybe they figure it's a match made in, not heaven, but match made in hell. Dick Tremaine shakes Ben down for some money because of the little pine weasel biting his nose. That takes a couple minutes to get through that. Not anything too exciting. Basically, Wyndham convinced this drifter, who's not the brightest bulb, to get inside what looks like is a giant chess piece that Wyndham has been crafting with, paper mache or layers of newspaper over a frame, something. But he does finally get his beer. Too bad it will be the last one he ever drinks. Wyndham has a little crossbow there and tells Leo to get the arrow. Much to Leo's horror, Leo disobeys and gets zapped for his disobedience, which shows signs of that he's actually showing some morals. He's realizing killing is wrong. So yeah, that's a good sign. So he finally gives him the arrow. Wyndham talks to the drifter, as he's aimed the crossbow at him with some interesting lines. Where will my spirit awake? What life am I given after this life? So he waxes philosophical before killing the drifter in cold blood. He says, you lucky boy, you get to find out what's after death. Yeah, I guess hopefully he's an accurate shooter and it was an instant kill, at least to be merciful. The Miss Twin Peaks signups begin. Bobby and Mike meet up again after quite some time, and basically Mike lets Bobby know that sex with Nadine is amazing given her insane strength and her experience. So yeah, Bobby's a little bit blown away by that. We see an image of Al Cave and Wyndham's face kind of appearing, transparently with it for a brief moment. Before we are at the Martells, and Harry is talking to Catherine about Josie. Catherine does a pretty good job of describing Josie. I mean, I think, she understood her motivations and whatnot, even though she was essentially a deadly enemy. And, of course, Harry is still rather simple-minded about Josie, unfortunately. Apparently he thinks not hating a vile woman simply because she's pretty or beautiful is a good idea. Well, I doubt that's a good idea. It's a rather foolish one, actually. But Harry's never going to learn. Pete drops the box, that black box that they're trying to figure out, and removes a layer, and we've got another layer underneath. It's almost like one of those, is it Chinese boxes or those Russian dolls that one inside the other, smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the last one. Could be something like that. And then we're over at the pond. Dale and Annie are hanging out on a rowboat. Annie mentions that she was always closer to nature than people, which seemed too odd. She mentions that hiding from your fear doesn't make it go away, and that she had to come back to Twin Peaks to face her fears. And like I said, the concept of fear is important, like I mentioned multiple times, and we're getting towards the end where you'll see why. Dale runs his hand along her scar, which makes sense in a way because he has a scar of his own from Wyndham Earle's attack on him, or assuming it was Wyndham Earle's attack on him. We find out finally that Annie tried to kill herself after a failed relationship with a boy. So Dale and her have similar pasts when it comes to falling in love. Annie basically says that she trusts Dale. They share a tender moment. Then, as they're leaving the pond, Wyndham Earle watches them sadistically. And he pretty much now knows who the fourth queen is going to be. We have the little wine soiree at the Great Northern. Some good comedy relief here. Some good banter. Over at the Double R, Gordon talks about a case he had where he had to, quote-unquote, ventilate a perpetrator while Shelley is enthralled. Dale and Annie join the two for pie. Remember that Kyle MacLachlan actually hates cherry pie, so he's suffering for his art, as I've said. Gordon says he just couldn't forgive himself if he didn't get a kiss from Shelley before leaving. Bobby walks in. Gordon puts him in his place and gets another kiss. So Gordon punking Bobby was kind of amusing. Back to the wine drinking. Lucy is not amused with all the talk and not too bright when it comes to understanding the subtle flavors of wine. Let's see here. We have a scene with Dale and John Justice Wheeler, which is essentially the only good scene that John is in the entire show, which is their little conversation about love and falling in love, since they're both falling in love hard. Dale with Annie and John with Audrey. Let's see. Donna confronts her mother about what's been going on in kind of a roundabout way, and she makes a veiled threat that she's going to leave home if she wins Twin Peaks because she'll have money to study abroad. So this is coming to a head. We see the shadowy robed figure again, as well as the owl, and Dale shows up at Easter Park and unveils Windom's handiwork. And basically, Dale comes to the realization that the chessboard will no longer be a useful tool in deducing Windom's plans. He has changed the shape of the chessboard, or he's moved off the board, so that whole thing is kind of out the window. The time is drawing near, and they need to double their efforts to catch the guy, because Dale is starting to wonder if Earle will ever give them the information they need to solve the twisted game that he's started, or if he's just going to keep them guessing and lead them along, and ultimately never reveal the answer until it's too late. So yeah, it was a really good episode. The revelations of Wyndham Earle's and his description of the White and Black Lodge and his knowledge of it, which I'm assuming Project Blue Book gave him when they were actually in official capacity. That is so it's a very important scene. It gives his motivation of why or his life's purpose at this point is to find the Black Lodge and to harness that power from the spirits within the Black Lodge to wreak havoc upon Earth, most likely, to some extent. We see Annie and Dale are now an item, and Earle is obviously going to use that to his advantage, and because he, like I said, Dale says he takes a perverse pleasure or satisfaction in insinuating him into the lives of innocent people, which is plenty of foreshadowing for everybody in Twin Peaks as a potential victim. So yeah, it's a really good episode. We're narrowing it down. Like I said, we've got 3 to go, 2, and then the finale. So the time is of the essence, and we're coming to the collision at the end, the climax. We'll have to see if the forces of evil or the forces of good prevail, or would that be the forces of fear and the forces of love? We shall have to see. So yeah, I've got this one all wrapped up. I'll get it put up on the site with the other 2, and we're going to be only 3 episodes away until we're done with Twin Peaks, the original series run. All right, folks, that's it for now. I'll talk to you later. So take it easy.